Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pachehra Talks. Today, in the Artificial Intelligence series, we are going to explore responsible AI. But that's not it. We will also check content filtering in Azure OpenAI, which is directly related to the responsible AI. My name is Arun, and I'm Solutions Architect MCT, currently working with Novintac, which is one of the best organizations to work with. And today, this is our topic that you see on the screen. Well, as the name says, responsible. We do understand what kind of AI we want to develop, which is responsible. Responsible in what manner? Responsible in a manner that it understands the human values because it is a machine. We don't want to program it in such a way that it actually start acting like humans. You know what I mean? Those humans who doesn't give any value to the human values. We see all those every day on news channel, right? Anyways, the point is artificial intelligence. We want to build responsible AI, but how can we say it is responsible? Well, we can say it on the basis of certain principles because Microsoft emphasizes responsible AI through a set of principles. Through a set of principles. Let me highlight it here for you guys. Right here. Set of principles. All right. And responsibly how? Because we are going to follow a set of principles designed to guide the development and deployment of AI systems in a manner that is ethical, secure, and beneficial to society. Well, if our government officers and our people are ethical and secure, then if they are ethical, ultimately the society will secure and it would be beneficial to everyone. Anyways, we couldn't make them ethical, but it's time. Let's make the AI ethical. Maybe in future, who knows, AI will take over all those government officials and everybody would be happy or not be happy. We don't know that. Let's focus on the topic, principles, right? Why we need it? Because we want to build the AI system in a manner that is ethical, secure, and beneficial to the society. Because ultimately, whatever we develop, whatever business we run for the benefit of the society. Okay. So these principles, what are those principles? Well, we'll learn one by one. Seems like I'm too excited. We'll learn one by one all these principles. Okay, which are actually integral to Azure AI services already. All right, we'll talk about that too. So, responsible AI, if we have to define it after this conversation, a little bit that we talked about, we can easily define. How can we define? We can define is a framework of principle aimed at ensuring artificial intelligence systems are developed and used in a manner that is ethical, transparent, accountable, and beneficial to society. These principles, these principles uh, will guide the design, deployment, and governance of AI technologies to address ethical concerns, promote fairness, mitigate potential harms. Because we don't want to create something which people hate or don't like, right? So this could be that's how we could define the responsible AI in a better way, in a nice way. So let's explore these principles one by one. Okay. So the very first is fair. So it's not fair like fair and lovely. It's not that. Okay. It means that fair, equality, wala fair. So AI systems should not treat all people. You find that I say should not. That is wrong. Should treat all people fairly, avoiding biases based on age, gender, race, or other characteristics. So that would be fair. right? If we treat all people fairly without any biases. But how can we do that? Well, we can do that by incorporating diverse data set in training, regularly testing AI models for biases, and employing fairness matrices or algorithm to detect and mitigate biased outcomes is a way to have a fairness achieved a little bit. Right? So that would be our fairness. Let's take an example. An Azure AI model used for loan approval should not disproportionately reject loans for applicants from certain demographic groups. Techniques like data balancing and fairness checks are employed to mitigate such biases. That's a very good example, right? So, fairness, right? The second example is reliability and safety. We want this everywhere, right? So why not in AI as well? So AI systems should perform reliably and safely under all conditions, minimizing errors and risks associated with their use, because you never know. Maybe because the way AI is booming, your cars, your rockets, your airplanes, your buses, things were running via AI or AI models, and you don't want them to, get not reliable and not secure or safe. You don't want to land on a house, right? You don't want to hit the red light. Some extreme examples, but you never know. So, rigorous testing and validation of AI models, including safety critical system analysis and establishing robust monitoring and maintenance practices, could be a good idea for reliability and safety, right? We can take another example just for the understanding. Let's suppose an Azure based AI system managing traffic signals should ensure high reliability, continuously learning and adapting to prevent traffic congestion and accidents even in unpredictable weather conditions, right? Or any such conditions. It should be reliable, so the traffic should be maintained and there should not be any accident because of AI. Because AI is supposed to be smart and keep on learning from all the mistakes or not mistakes. So we're good with the reliable, we're good with the fairness, and it's time for the privacy and security that everybody wants. So what AI will do? AI will help us doing that. How can we do that? Well, AI systems must protect users' privacy and secure their data against unauthorized access and breaches. Some call it privacy. Well, it doesn't matter what you call. What matters is that you understand what it means, right? So privacy or privacy, same thing. Employing data encryption, access controls, and secure data storage practices, adhering to privacy regulations, and designing AI systems that minimize data collection and use anonymization techniques could be a good idea here. But don't worry, we'll get a lot of things in the Azure OpenAI. But anyways, let's take an example to understand this principle. Let's take an example of where can we think for the privacy, of course, health. Let's suppose an Azure AI services that analyze patient health records or records. I don't know, records or records, doesn't matter. You understand, right? Health records or health records. For predictive diagnostics, must encrypt this data both at rest and in transit, ensuring that patient confidentiality is maintained. Something's wrong with my tongue. Okay, so you know we always maintain some kind of compliance whenever the health comes or HIPAA comes. So AI will help us maintaining that by performing proper encryption and things like that. So maintaining the privacy and security. All right. So what's the other principle? It's inclusiveness. We don't want to exclude anyone. We want to include everyone, just like any other human does, right? Hmm. So AI technologies should empower and engage everyone, including people with disabilities. and be accessible to all users, just like education. Designing user interfaces and experiences that are accessible to people with a range of abilities and involving diverse groups in the development and testing of AI systems could be a great idea for the inclusiveness. If you're not getting what exactly it means, let's take this example. Listen to me carefully. You can easily understand this. Let's suppose there is an AI model or Azure AI powered with virtual assistant should support voice commands, screen readers, and other accessibility features, ensuring that users with various disabilities can interact with it effectively. Now, what's the next one, or second last, or fifth one? Transparency. Well, of course, you want AI should be transparent. We don't want AI to just, learn everything and rule on humans. We want it to be transparent. Just tell us each and everything. What are you doing? Why you're doing? We want to know. Okay. Anyways, something like that. Well, AI systems should be transparent with clear explanations on how decisions are made, fostering trust and understanding. The very simple example to understand transparency is when an Azure AI model is used for resume, or resume, right? You know what I mean? Resume or resume screening, biodata or CV or resume, some call it what. Well, it doesn't matter what you call, but you understand when you apply for a job, you have to submit your resume. You have to submit your resume, and somebody has to screen it before they call you. So it should provide feedback on why certain resumes were not selected based on specific skills or experience criteria, making the decision making process clear. We should know if AI is rejecting somebody and calling somebody, why they are rejecting, why they're calling. The proper explanation is transparency. And finally, somebody got accountable. Okay. So those who design and deploy AI systems are accountable for their operation. There should be mechanisms to address any adverse effects or misuse. For example, if an Azure AI-driven content moderation system mistakenly flags legitimate content as inappropriate, so there should be a straightforward process for content creators to appeal the decision and hold the system accountable for errors, right? So these are all the principles that our AI should adhere to. Let's make it red. Okay. Now, how can we actually implement it? Because it's fine, we know what we have to implement, but it's time to know how exactly we want to implement. How is something very important, right? That makes all the difference. So how? Well, in practice, implementing these principles involves a combination of technological solutions, ethical guidelines, and governance frameworks. Simple, we know how it works, right? Let's take a few examples just to make a point here. Okay. So diverse team, we should have diverse teams. Ensuring the team behind the AI includes diverse perspective, which can definitely help mitigate biases. We should have continuous monitoring, learning as well, testing as well. Well, because regularly evaluating AI systems against fairness, reliability, and safety standards is something that you want to check upon all the time. And another one is user education. Of course, educating users about how AI systems work, how to use them responsibly, and how to protect their privacy. Right. So implementing these principles involves a combination of technological solution, ethical guidelines, and governance framework. These are a few examples. But finally, what are we trying to achieve by adhering these principles? Well, because Azure AI aims to create technologies that not only advance industry and society, but also, but also do in a manner that respects human values and diversity. This is ultimately we want to achieve as well, because whatever we develop for the comfortable, no, benefit of the humans, right? That's why we're developing, so that humans should not do the things that machine can do for you. So these things can be achieved. Right now, finally, this is about responsible AI, this half of this paint. Now it's time, because Azure OpenAI, that I hope I would have the access soon so that I start exploring that. Until then, we are trying to cover all those relevant topics. So Azure OpenAI, if you have seen those snippets that I showed in the previous videos, there was one for the content filtering. We did talk about a little bit, but here, content filtering, right here, this content filtering. This content filtering in Azure OpenAI plays a crucial role in promoting responsible AI by ensuring that the outputs generated by AI models align with ethical guidelines and societal norms. So, by default, you got something here, content filtering in Azure OpenAI. So, there are always benefits when you go towards cloud. I'm not saying it because that's my bread and butter, but that there is some truth in it. So, this mechanism is designed to detect and mitigate potentially harmful, biased, or inappropriate content in the AI's responses, making the AI service safer and more reliable for users across diverse contexts. So, let's see, here's how content filtering contributes to responsible AI. Here's what, here's how, right here. So, let's go one by one. Preventing harmful outputs. Okay, that's the very first thing that content filtering will help you do that. How? Because content filtering systems are trained to recognize and block outputs that could be harmful or offensive. Okay, you not need not to build something like that for your AI models. If you're working on Azure OpenAI, you have that already as a service in the Azure OpenAI pane. Okay, so this includes content that is violent. Okay, hinsa, violent, hateful, or discriminatory. By filtering out such content, Azure OpenAI prevents the spread of harmful ideas and language, fostering a safer digital environment. Okay, so preventing harmful outputs automatically. So let's take an example just to make a point here. If a user prompts the AI to generate a joke, which is there in the prompts in the chat GPT, and the content filtering mechanism ensures that the response does not include offensive or derogatory material, reflecting a commitment to generating content that respects all individuals and groups. Well, for sure, there are people who will say it's a myth. I'm not saying content filtering because it works, but the publicly available chat GPT, you'll find little bit here and there. Okay. All right. The second point is, but we don't want that here and there. That's the reason we want to use content filtering in Azure OpenAI, and we don't want our AI to be run by certain or any kind of ideology or agenda. We don't. We want it to be absolutely, absolutely fair. Okay. So, mitigate bias. How can we do that? Well, content filters is your answer. Content filters are also crucial in identifying and mitigating biases in AI responses. By analyzing outputs for biased languages or stereotypes, the system can adjust responses to be more neutral and inclusive, prompting fairness. Well, some stereotypes are funny too. Anyways, stand comedians does that all the time. I'm just saying it. All right. So just take an example to understand it in generating a job description for a tech position. All right. Because we are all techies, so let's generate a job description for us. And how can content filtering help us? Well, content filtering helps ensure that the language used does not unintentionally unintentionally remove or not allow any applicants of any gender, background, or ability from applying, thus supporting diversity and inclusiveness. Okay. I laughed because I forgot the word. Anyways, it happens, right? We want to generate a job description which is neutral, which is for everyone, which only cares about your skills and your knowledge and your experience, nothing else. Well, the third point is it can also help you in age appropriate content, ensuring age appropriate content. This mechanism, content filtering mechanism, can adjust the appropriateness of content based on the intended audience's age, ensuring that outputs are suitable for users of different age groups. Do not do that if you're above 18, click here. All right. Then AI is smart enough to fetch you, find you, and block your content. So don't do that. So let's take an example. When an educational application powered by Azure OpenAI generates content for children, the content filter ensures that the material is educational and appropriate and free from adult themes. Okay. All right, then compliance is legal and ethical standards because it's AI and it can do a lot of good things, but if it's in wrong hand, it can do a lot of blunders. That's why let's meet the compliance, legal and ethical standards, and content filtering will gonna help us. Why? Because it ensures that AI generated output comply with legal standards and ethical guidelines, including respecting copyright laws and avoiding the any false information. For example, if a user requests information on a sensitive topic, content filtering mechanisms can guide the AI to provide responses that are informative and respectful of legal and ethical boundaries, avoiding the spread of misinformation. Finally, it is customizable. Okay, it's not like it's a hard line, but it's a line that you can create a little more. Okay, don't go and remove the already available filters. So Azure OpenAI allows developers to adjust the sensitivity of content filtering based on the application's context and audience, right? For example, for kids, children, there is no adult theme, but how about the sex education? So accordingly, you need to uh, adjust the sensitivity, providing flexibility to meet diverse needs while maintaining high standards of responsibility. What is responsibility? It's the ability to respond. Okay, let's take an example. A social media platform utilizing Azure OpenAI for generating user content recommendations might set a stricter content filter level to ensure that recommended posts adhere to the platform's community guidelines accordingly. See, so it is adjustable. All right, so with that, we are here closing our video. We're almost done. I hope it was informative. And just to conclude here, what we did in this video, we started to understand at the beginning, we understood the responsible AI, okay? Then we defined it as a framework of principles. Then we learned all the principles, which were fairness, reliable and safety, privacy and security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. And why are we achieving these principles through AI? Like our AI should adhere to these principles for human values and diversity. Okay. And how can we do that? Well, there are certain things that we talked about. There are certain practices like ethical guidelines, governance framework, or technological solutions. And we took three examples of diverse team, continuous monitoring, learning, and user education. And finally, we thought it seems like a too much work for the AI. Then we talked about Azure OpenAI content filtering, which gives you a lot of ability by default, and which is customizable as well, and help us doing all these things. So with that, let's close the video. I hope it was informative, and you guys have a wonderful day.